Since the dawn of time, humanity has carried within it this unquenchable quest for escape, for transcendence, for connection to a vaster dimension of existence. This yearning for something more, for a reality that transcends the sometimes dull veil of daily life. This persistent feeling that ordinary life, however full it may be, isn't enough to quench a deeper thirst. We've sought to expand our consciousness, to touch the invisible, to escape the prison of our limiting thoughts through 1,001 techniques, 1,001 paths, from the most sacred rituals to the most demanding ascetic practices. And at the heart of this quest, a substance, omnipresent, ambivalent, alcohol, at times celebrated as a source of conviviality, disinhibition, fleeting joy, and at others feared, demonized as a vector of decline, loss of control and suffering. A traveling companion of our civilizations, quenching thirsts far deeper than we often realize, seeping into our rituals, our celebrations, our moments of solitude. But how many of us are truly aware of the nature of this bond, this tacit pact we sometimes sign from a very young age? How many realize that sometimes what seems like a simple habit, a harmless social pleasure, is in reality a gilded cage, a subtle trap that distances us, step by step, from our true essence, our inner power, the unique music of our soul? What if I told you that one of the greatest explorers of the human soul, Carl Gustav Jung, lifted the veil on a secret concerning alcohol, a secret that could radically change your perception of this substance, and perhaps of yourself? A secret that speaks to us of spirituality, of energy, of the shadow and light within us, and of the most fundamental quest of our being, the quest for wholeness. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear might just resonate with a truth your soul has always known, a distant echo waiting for the right moment to rise to the surface of your consciousness. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who dared to dive into the depths of the collective unconscious, who mapped archetypes and explored dreams as messages from the soul, didn't see alcoholism, or more broadly our attraction to alcohol, as a mere biological failing, a weakness of character or a behavior to be corrected by willpower and discipline alone. No, his vision was far deeper, more spiritual. He saw it as a tragedy of the spirit. For Jung, the craving for alcohol, this unquenchable thirst that some feel with painful acuity, is fundamentally a quest. A misguided quest, certainly, a quest that has taken the wrong path and chosen the wrong object, but a spiritual quest nonetheless. He spoke of spiritus contra spiritum, the spirit, alcohol, spirits, used against the spirit, the true spiritual essence, the self. Alcohol, as a spirit, offers an imitation of the spiritual experience. It can induce altered states of consciousness, lower the ego's barriers, give an illusion of connection or euphoria. But it's an illusory shortcut, a false door to the luminous. He perceived that the individual who turns to alcohol is seeking often unknowingly a form of transcendence, a way to escape the narrowness of their ego, the banality or suffering of their existence, that feeling of being an isolated fragment in an indifferent universe. An often desperate attempt to rediscover a sense of unity, of fullness, or simply to silence the inner turmoil, that incessant dialogue of doubts and anxieties. It's a thirst of the soul for wholeness, for connection with the self, the organizing center of the psyche, which, failing to find its way to the light of consciousness and integration, rushes towards an illusion of light, a straw fire that warms for a moment, before leaving an even more intense cold. Have you ever felt that emptiness, that feeling that something is missing, even when everything seems fine on the surface? That longing to feel more alive, more connected, more vibrant. Jung tells us that alcohol offers a mirage of this connection, an artificial warmth that mimics the warmth of the soul, a disinhibition that mimes true inner freedom, a false conviviality that masks a deep solitude. But it's only an echo, an imitation, an unkept promise that leaves behind a bitter taste of disillusionment. And this Jungian intuition finds a fascinating echo even in the etymology of the word alcohol. Did you know that alcohol comes from the Arabic alcool or algol? Alcool referred to a very fine powder antimony used as kohl to outline the eyes, but also, and this is where it becomes fascinating for our subject. In alchemy, it meant the purest essence of a substance, its most subtle spirit, what remains after all purification processes. Alchemists spoke of the spirit of wine to designate ethanol. Algol, on the other hand, means spirit or ghoul, a desert creature that leads travelers astray. This dual etymology is incredibly revealing. On one hand, the quest for essence, for purity. On the other, the risk of going astray, of dispossession. Alchemists considered alcohol a powerful agent, capable of dissolving, of extracting essence, but also, symbolically, of separating the subtle spirit body from the physical body, of volatilizing the spirit. So, for centuries, there has been an intuitive awareness of alcohol's dissociative power, its ability to unmoor us from our ordinary reality, but also, potentially, from our true center, our soul. This symbolism reveals an ancient wisdom, an understanding that alcohol touches deep strata of our being, far beyond a simple physiological effect. It speaks of a quest for essence, but one that can, if we're not careful, dispossess us of our own, make us lose our own kohl, our own guiding spirit. This Jungian intuition of spiritual interference is not isolated. If we turn to the world's great wisdom traditions, we observe a mistrust, even a clear condemnation of alcohol, precisely because of its impact on mental clarity and the spiritual path. Islam, for example, explicitly prohibits the consumption of alcohol, khamr, considering it the mother of all evils, and a major obstacle to prayer, salat, consciousness of God, taqwa, and the lucidity necessary to follow divine precepts. Alcohol is seen as a veil, hijab, that darkens the heart, qalb, and mind, preventing divine light, nur, from penetrating and guiding the believer. It breeds forgetfulness of God and one's duties. In Buddhism, the fifth precept for lay practitioners recommends abstaining from intoxicating substances that lead to heedlessness and negligence, pamada. It was a sacred journey, prepared, integrated, often guided by an experienced officiant who served as a guardian of the threshold, a gateway to expanded consciousness, but one whose guardians knew the keys, protocols, and dangers. What we see today with alcohol in our modern societies is the antithesis of this. It's an often compulsive consumption, trivialized, normalized to an absurd degree, devoid of any sacred intention, of any awareness of its profound implications. A use that, instead of opening a door to higher consciousness, closes off access and locks us in a prison of dependence, confusion, lowered vibration, and self-destructive behaviors. The potential portal becomes a jail, a labyrinth from which it's difficult to find the exit. The impact of alcohol on the mind and spiritual connection is insidious. It begins by blurring the boundaries of the rational mind, which can feel pleasant at first, a false sense of letting go, a release from inhibitions. But in doing so, it weakens our spiritual discernment, our ability to distinguish true from false, luminous from illusory, authentic guidance from the ego's impulses or external influences. Our energetic frequency, that unique vibrational signature emanating from our being and determining the quality of our reality, is diminished, weighed down. We become like a detuned instrument, unable to resonate with the subtle harmonies of the universe, with the whispers of our inner guidance, with the call of our self. Our intuition, that precious compass guiding us towards our highest good, grows fainter, muffled by the noise of interference and superficial emotions. In short, we become more vulnerable to external influences, less anchored in our own truth, more easily manipulated by the energies and intentions of others. Let's delve deeper into this notion of energetic impact. Everything in the universe is energy, vibration, frequency. You, me. Every thought, every emotion, every word we utter. When we are aligned, joyful, at peace, in love, our vibration is high. We radiate a particular light. We naturally attract experiences, people, synchronicities that resonate with this high frequency. Our energetic field, or aura, is then broad, luminous, and coherent. Alcohol, by its chemical nature and its depressive effect on our central nervous system and disruptive effect on our consciousness, possesses an intrinsically low and chaotic vibrational signature. By consuming it, we literally ingest this low frequency, which directly lowers our overall vibrational rate. It's like plunging a bright light into muddy water. Its clarity is obscured, its radiance diminished. Or like introducing a jarring note into a harmonious symphony. The whole becomes cacophonous. What are the consequences of this vibrational drop? We become more receptive, more permeable to low-frequency emotions and energies around us, and those we generate ourselves: fear, anxiety, anger, sadness, judgment, negativity, resentment. Our personal energetic field, our aura, which normally acts as a natural protective shield and an intelligent filter, weakens, cracks, and tarnishes. Imagine a house with broken windows and porous walls. It becomes vulnerable to bad weather, cold drafts, unwanted intrusions. Our energetic immune system weakens. This is why unusual behaviors can emerge under the influence of alcohol. A usually calm person can become aggressive or quarrelsome. A reserved person can become excessively extroverted, but in a way that doesn't feel like them, that rings false, like a caricature. It's not so much a liberation of the true self, but a manifestation of low-frequency energies to which the individual has temporarily become attuned, or the expression of repressed parts of their shadow. Those aspects of ourselves we don't accept and repress, which take advantage of the lowered vigilance of the conscious mind, the guardian of the threshold, to express themselves in a raw, uncontrolled manner. The inner radar we spoke of, this ability to sense atmospheres, intentions, subtle energies, becomes faulty or hypersensitive in a disordered way. One can feel overwhelmed, anxious from energetic overflows that one can no longer manage, becoming an emotional sponge, absorbing ambient negativity. This weakening of the energetic field opens the door to an even deeper concept: soul fragmentation. Our spiritual traditions and certain transpersonal therapeutic approaches, notably shamanism, speak of soul loss or soul fragmentation as a consequence of trauma, abuse accidents, violent bereavements, intense emotional shocks, or repeated actions that go against our deep essence, our fundamental values, our integrity. It's as if a part of our vital energy, our consciousness, detaches to escape unbearable pain, leaving a void, a sense of lack, a disconnection from oneself. These lost fragments carry with them a part of our vitality, our gifts, our joy. Alcohol, with its temporary numbing and euphoric effect, can give the illusion of filling this void. We drink to forget, to feel better, to fill a void, to find a false sense of wholeness. But it's a tragic lure. Alcohol repairs nothing. It only deepens the void because it contributes to this dissociation, this anesthesia of the soul. Every time we take refuge in alcohol to avoid facing our pain, our emptiness, our shadow, we move a little further from our center, from our light. The soul, that purest and most luminous part of ourselves, our divine spark, seems to withdraw when the body and mind are constantly bathed in these low, discordant vibrations. With repeated use, it doesn't come home as easily. It remains, wandering, more or less close to us, but without truly reintegrating the sacred space of our being. This is how one feels completely cut off and disconnected from oneself, like an exile in one's own life. Sometimes with that feeling of living completely out of sync, as if our life were a movie we're watching from the outside, without truly being the actor, without tasting its flavor. This process particularly affects what some traditions call the astral body or emotional body. This subtle body, the vehicle of our emotions and imagination, normally vibrant and coherent, can tear or fragment under the repeated effect of substances like alcohol. This fragmentation makes the mind even more vulnerable to external psychic and energetic influences, sometimes even to what some call entities or low-frequency parasitic energies, astral larvae that feed on our negative emotions and weakened vital energy. This can explain certain strange experiences under heavy intoxication, significant memory blackouts, where a part of consciousness seems to have literally absented itself, as if another had taken over. Radical personality changes, self-destructive behaviors, or hurtful words that one bitterly regrets as if someone else had taken control of a part of us that is foreign. It's not possession in the Hollywood sense, but a loss of inner sovereignty, an inability of the soul to maintain its integrity and full presence in the physical vehicle, leaving the door open to unwanted squatters. Faced with this observation, this misguided spiritual thirst, what is the way out? Jung once again enlightens us. If the attraction to alcohol is an unconscious quest for transcendence and unity, then the solution cannot lie in simply suppressing the desire, in a fierce struggle against the substance. For that would be fighting a symptom without addressing the root cause. It would be cutting the weed without pulling out the root. The true solution, according to Jung, is to find an authentic source of spiritual connection. It's about meeting this fundamental need of the soul, this spiritus, through a path that truly nourishes, elevates, unifies, and gives meaning. It's about replacing the ersatz with the authentic, the shadow with the light, the false with the true. This can take many forms, as each soul has its own melody, its own path back to the source. Meditation in all its forms, vipassana, zazen, transcendental, walking. Prayer, regardless of tradition or lack thereof, for prayer is above all a dialogue of the heart with the great mystery. Active contemplation of nature and its sacred beauty. Artistic practice, painting, music, writing, dance, that allows the soul to express itself. Engagement in a cause that transcends us and serves the common good, the quest for self-knowledge through Jungian therapy, or other profound approaches, the study of ancient wisdom and sacred texts, or deep, sincere connection with other human beings, in love, friendship, and authentic sharing. The essential thing is to find what, for you, for each of us, makes the soul vibrate, what gives us a sense of meaning, of belonging to something greater, what reconnects us to our inner light, our essential joy. Jung accompanied one of his patients, Roland Hazard, a notorious alcoholic, telling him there was no hope for him unless he had an authentic and transformative spiritual experience. This intuition, this transmission from Jung to his patient, was one of the fundamental inspirations for the creation of Alcoholics Anonymous, whose approach is based on acknowledging a higher power as each individual understands it, a way of recognizing that recovery from addiction involves reconnecting to a dimension that transcends the limited ego and its compulsions. It's not about suddenly becoming a mystic or a saint, but about humbly recognizing that we are spiritual beings incarnated in a human experience, and that this spiritual dimension, too often neglected in our materialistic world, needs to be nourished, listened to, honored, cultivated. When this fundamental hunger is satisfied by true nourishment, by the celestial manna of presence to oneself and the world, the attraction to illusory substitutes like alcohol naturally begins to diminish, to lose its power. The inner void is filled by loving presence, inner saturation by deep peace, anxiety by trust. So, a question arises, nagging, almost unsettling. If alcohol has such potentially destructive effects on our physical, psychological, energetic, and spiritual well-being, why is it so deeply embedded in our cultures? Why is it not only tolerated but often actively encouraged, celebrated, associated with almost every social ritual, from birth to death, from victories to defeats, from weddings to funerals? It's presented to us as an indispensable social lubricant, the obligatory companion of parties, gatherings, moments of relaxation. Having a drink is synonymous with conviviality, sharing, unwinding. Refusing a drink is sometimes seen as an act of defiance, a desire to stand apart, not to play the game. It's a fascinating and disturbing paradox, revealing the contradictions of our societies. Of course, there are the colossal economic interests of the alcohol industry. Billions are spent on marketing to associate alcohol with success, seduction, performance, freedom, joy, virility, sophistication. These images bombard our unconscious and shape our desires. But beyond this commercial aspect, however powerful, might there not be deeper, more hidden, more systemic motivations for this social acceptance, even this insidious promotion? In a society that often values performance at all costs, cold rationality, emotional control, and tends to deny or repress the emotional and spiritual dimension of being, alcohol can appear as a tolerated, even encouraged, safety valve. A way to release the pressure accumulated by daily stress, by the weight of social expectations, by the difficulty of simply being oneself in a world that constantly asks us to wear masks. It becomes this convenient social mask. The shy become talkative and enterprising. The anxious become jovial and carefree. Those who feel empty or inadequate find a fleeting sensation of fullness and importance. Alcohol allows us to play a role, to conform to a certain image of integration, of festive and uninhibited normality. But it's often an escape from oneself, from one's authenticity, from one's vulnerability. We drink to forget ourselves for a moment, to silence that little inner voice that reminds us of our dissatisfactions, our fears, our unhealed wounds, our unfulfilled dreams. We drink to give ourselves the courage to be an improved version of ourselves, more extroverted, funnier, bolder, more in line with expectations. But this version is not us. It's a facade, built on a chemical crutch, a theatrical character that collapses when the lights go out. We drink to fill the inner void, that feeling of saturation through lack, that existential angst that materialistic society struggles to soothe, obsessed as it is with having at the expense of being. Alcohol then becomes a collective outlet, a socially sanctioned way of not facing what overflows within us, what hurts us, our crying need for meaning and connection. And what if this social acceptance also served, unconsciously or not, to maintain a certain level of collective fog, a kind of gentle sedation of consciousness, a populace whose consciousness is slightly altered, whose vibrational frequency is lowered, whose critical thinking is dulled, and whose willpower is weakened? Isn't it easier to influence more docile, less inclined to question the established order, to rebel against injustices, to seek its true inner and collective sovereignty? It's a provocative thought, certainly, one that might seem conspiratorial to some, but which deserves to be explored with honesty and intellectual courage, by simply observing the mechanisms of power and social control at work in our societies. An anesthetized citizen is one who causes less trouble. Let's return to the personal, to our own experience. How many times have we sought an emotional anesthetic in alcohol? A break from pain, stress, loneliness, disappointment, humiliation. It's human. Alcohol has this ability to temporarily mute the noise of our suffering. It creates a bubble, an illusory distance between us and what weighs us down, a falsely protective cocoon. But let's be clear and face the truth. Alcohol has never solved any problem. Ever. It only postpones it, masks it, sweeps it under the rug, and often it aggravates it, adding a layer of guilt, shame, and negative consequences. The problems we avoid facing don't disappear. They fester. They grow in the shadow of our unconscious, nourished by our avoidance and denial. The physical hangover is often nothing compared to the emotional and spiritual hangover. The guilt, the shame, the feeling of having fled once again, of not having lived up to our own desire for well-being, of having betrayed ourselves. True healing, true inner peace, is not found at the bottom of a glass, nor in any external substance. It comes through the courage to confront our unresolved pains, our deepest fears, our shadow parts. It requires listening to what these difficult emotions are trying to tell us, understanding the messages of our soul, which often speaks to us through our discomfort. It's a demanding path, sometimes uncomfortable, this descent into oneself, but it's the only path to authentic and lasting liberation. Stoicism here teaches us the value of facing reality, of accepting what is, amor fati, including our own discomfort and imperfection, so that we can then act with wisdom, courage, and responsibility. Alcohol is the refusal of this confrontation. It's the choice of anesthesia over consciousness, of oblivion over transformation. And then there is time, the precious, irreplaceable time of our unique life. Alcohol is a thief of time, a subtle and persistent pickpocket. It steals evenings in a fog of excess and futile conversations. It steals the next days in fatigue, regret, and the inability to be productive. It steals important moments by clouding our presence, our ability to be fully there with those we love, for what truly matters. It steals our vital energy, our clarity of mind, our creativity, our life force. It keeps us in a kind of limbo, a hazy in-between state, preventing us from deploying our full potential, from realizing our dearest dreams, from becoming the most aligned, vibrant, and radiant version of ourselves. How many hours, days, years lost in this mist, while our soul yearned for so much more, for light, for creation, for true love. So what to do? How to break free from this grip, whether it's light or more established, occasional or daily. The first and most crucial step is to shift the focus. Instead of fighting against the substance itself, against the urge to drink, in a battle of willpower that is often exhausting and doomed to fail in the long run, because what you resist persists. It's about understanding with compassion and without judgment the deep reasons that push us towards it. What am I really looking for when I reach for that glass? Is it to escape work stress and its unbearable pressures? Is it to soothe my shyness in social settings, to dare to be the person I can't be when sober? Is it to fill an abysmal sense of loneliness, a disconnection from others and myself? Is it to manage a diffuse anxiety, a fear of the future, or regret for the past? Is it to forget a childhood wound, a betrayal, an unresolved grief? Is it to feel alive, to release unbearable pressure, to give myself permission I don't otherwise grant? Identifying these triggers, these unmet needs, these difficult emotions, these limiting beliefs, is the beginning of reclaiming your power, of breaking free from autopilot. Because once the root cause is identified, illuminated by the light of consciousness, you can begin to seek healthier, more constructive responses, more aligned with your true well-being and the aspirations of your soul. It's a work of radical honesty with yourself, a courageous dive into your own shadow psychology, where our repressed parts, our wounded inner children, and our unconscious needs cry out to be heard and loved. I propose a 3-step plan, a roadmap to guide you on this path. The first phase is that of the body, focused on cleansing, energetic grounding, and resensitization. Our body is the temple of our soul, our earthly vehicle. It needs to be purified of accumulated toxins and low frequencies, and reinvested with love and respect. This begins with massive hydration, as pure water is the primary purifier. Drink plenty throughout the day to help your body eliminate physical and energetic toxins, and you can add fresh lemon for an alkalizing effect. In addition, salt baths and dry brushing are invaluable. Salt, whether Epsom, Himalayan, or even coarse sea salt, has remarkable energetic purifying properties, and regular baths help clear stagnant energies while soothing the nervous system. Dry brushing the skin before showering, meanwhile, stimulates the lymphatic system and circulation. Let's not forget conscious movement and breath work. Whether through yoga, tai chi, qigong, mindful walking, or intuitive dance, it's vital to move your body consciously, paying attention to your sensations. This circulates vital energy, prana or chi, releases physical and emotional tensions, and reconnects you to your bodily wisdom. Also, explore different breathing techniques like pranayamas to calm the mind and vitalize the body. Next comes the second phase, that of the mind, which aims at training awareness, mental clarity, and reprogramming. Our mind needs to be re-educated, deconditioned from automatic patterns of thought and behavior, to be brought back to its natural state of clarity and peace. Silent and mindfulness meditation is a powerful tool for this. Start with even 5 to 10 minutes a day to observe your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment, like clouds passing in the sky of your consciousness. This will allow you to create space between you, the observer, and your impulses. Keeping a journal for self-observation and inner dialogue will greatly help. Note your emotions, triggers, cravings, always without judging yourself. Ask yourself what's happening within you before, during, and after the urge for alcohol. What beliefs underpin this urge? Open a dialogue with the part of you that seeks alcohol. Ask it about its hidden needs. Pay attention to synchronicities, the signs you perceive in your life. It's also important to make environmental modifications. Temporarily avoid places, people, and situations strongly associated with consumption, while you strengthen yourself and create new positive associations. Finally, practical stoicism can be of great help. Practice detachment from thoughts and cravings, reminding yourself they are temporary and do not define you. Remember, you are not your thoughts, nor your desires. You have the power to choose your response. Use positive affirmations and visualization techniques to reprogram your subconscious towards sobriety, confidence, and well-being. The third phase is that of the soul, a stage of reconnection with your essence, your inner guidance. This is where the real magic happens, the answer to Jung's spiritus, the essential nourishment of the soul. A deep connection with nature is a royal road for this. Spend quality time in forests, mountains near the ocean. Nature is a powerful source of healing, energetic rebalancing, inspiration, and reconnection to something greater than oneself. Feel the energy of trees, the earth, the wind, the water. Practice grounding, direct contact with the earth. Next, engage in recognizing your inner truth and values. What makes you vibrate deeply? What are your forgotten passions, your unique talents yearning for expression? What gives profound meaning to your life? What are your non-negotiable core values? Listen to your soul's desires, your heart's calls, for they guide you to your rightful place. Conscious and creative replacement is also key. Find healthy, joyful, and nourishing activities to replace the ritual of alcohol and fill the liberated time. Act in accordance with your deep values and inner truth. Every aligned action strengthens your connection to your higher self and your sense of integrity. Ask yourself how you can contribute to the world with your unique gifts, how you can serve life. Don't forget the practice of gratitude and wonder. Every day, note or express at least 3 things for which you are grateful. This raises your vibrational frequency, changes your perspective, and opens your heart. Cultivate your ability to marvel at the little things in life, the beauty of a sunset, a child's smile. These steps are not linear. They intertwine, nourish each other, forming an upward spiral of healing and growth. What's important is commitment to yourself, patience, compassion, and perseverance. And remember, intellectual understanding, everything you've heard today, is not enough. It's a map, but it's not the territory. Real transformation is born from action, from direct experience, from the patient and persistent application of these keys in your daily life. Every small step counts. Every conscious choice in favor of your inner light is a victory. There's no magic wand, but there is a path back to self, a path home. We've explored together this secret of Carl Jung, this profound vision of alcohol as a misguided spiritual quest. We've seen how this substance, so trivialized, can affect our energy, our soul, our connection to the sacred. But more importantly, we've glimpsed the path to liberation, one that involves nourishing our thirst for transcendence through true spiritual connection, through a conscious awakening of our body, mind, and soul. The path to inner sovereignty, to a fully aligned and vibrant life, is a path of courage, honesty, and self-love. It requires turning our gaze inward, listening to the whispers of our soul rather than the sirens of illusion. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel the call to explore this path of transformation more deeply, then I invite you to take a first step. Comment below, "I choose my light." If you're ready to embark on this journey towards greater clarity and true connection, subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets we'll unveil together to nourish your soul and illuminate your path. And if you think this revelation can help someone you know, share this video. A simple share can be an outstretched hand, a seed of consciousness planted. Finally, I leave you with this thought, like a mirror phrase, a breath of truth to take with you. Where you focused your attention to flee your emptiness, therein lies the door to your fullness. Dare to walk through it. Take care of yourself, your energy, your soul. You are far more powerful, far more luminous than you imagine. It's time to remember that, and to let that light shine.